Hi, I'm Dr. Dan Ratner. As part of our Mind-Body Connection series, we'll continue to look more deeply at the three columns and their corresponding action steps. Today, we will be exploring the word power, why I chose it for my system, and finding a key point of freedom of movement within it, in recognizing the unlimited supply of power out there for everyone. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below and we'll get back to you personally. And finally, you can reserve your place in one of my seminars or purchase any of my mind-body guides, also known as the PDFs, at www.crushingdoubt.org. Now, without further ado, let's explore the implications that come from recognizing that not only can you be powerful, but everyone can be powerful. As I try to further your understanding of my columns, I find there are a lot of areas available for fine-tuning that can help you along the way. One of these that occurred to me recently is in the area of the seemingly natural clash between Goodism and power. In fact, as I've talked about previously, some people have wanted to move away from the term power, preferring something like confidence or strength, for example. It is, of course, totally fine to change the wording as it suits you. The only thing I will say is that the words we choose can have some big implications and change the picture to varying degrees, so just be thoughtful about how it changes the meaning for you. So why did I choose power? The funny thing is that I chose it precisely because it tends to be condemned. So if you are choosing to want to get away from the term, just consider that. Now, what I mean by that is I chose it because the fact that people want to push it away actually means they're going to move away from some chances to be powerful. They're pushing it away for a reason, and I'm saying, hey, let's not push it away. Let's pull it closer. Now, it could be that choosing the term power can unlock something for you. But let's talk about this term and why I think it is so much more valuable than the other word choices, and thus why I chose it. First of all, in my way of thinking about power, the other words are already incorporated within it. Remember that my system evolved around a certain recipe I hit on for having three elements to virtually every way I think of things. There has to be a broad component, everything involved has a high stakes element, and there are specifics as well. The term power brings in all three of these things, whereas some of the other terms do not. Take confidence, for example. I'm not picking on the word, as it's a fantastic word, and it's a great thing to have. But it will illustrate my point well, and no one has brought it up directly as their word, so I'm not tearing down anyone's system to my knowledge. But confidence is a very important part of power, but to me it leads with the specific too much to be the big-ticket word. Confidence is something you can have in one area, but not in another at the exact same moment about very specific things. The advantage of the word power, as I see it, is that you can be powerful in specific ways, but you can also use it to recognize if you are feeling good or not more generally. Confidence is, in other words, a little too zoomed in to be the representative word for my taste. If you are lounging around feeling at peace with yourself, that's not always related to confidence. But anytime you're feeling good at all, it does relate to power. And this is why I like power. It achieves as many things as it can at once. Power is the choice that can be used in broad terms because actually it's a more vague term to begin with. It has multiple meanings that can mean many things to many people, and this is good. It is also not so vague as to be amorphous and have no real meaning. It still means to feel in control, at peace, confident, strong, and so much more. It's vague, and it's also widespread in its application. Power also connotes something that is high stakes. Having low confidence doesn't feel good, but it can be very benignly annoying, disappointing, inconvenient, and other low-stakes terms. Not having power, though, brings to mind a high-stakes quality always. Think about it this way. If you are without power in your home, for example, you are going to need to address it sooner rather than later. A lack of power is a problem that you need to deal with right away. If you're without power at work, you'll need to address that fast, or it's going to become toxic and a place you don't want to work. If you're without power in a relationship, it's far more damaging to your sense of self than lacking confidence. So just to keep track, so far, power is a word that allows for a broader picture and also addresses the high-stakes nature of mind-body experience. The last component that I always call for is whether or not it gets specific enough to help. I find that power has specific applications because it covers so much territory with its diffuse and vague starting point. Power can be used, as I mentioned before, with respect to control, peace, happiness, direction, self-definition, confidence, strength of character, hope for the future, resolution with the past, feeling good in the present, and so much more. Even so, the objections to the word power do tend to come from some very good sources, quite literally. Goodists themselves can sometimes struggle with the term, thinking that to be powerful is something akin to being like the Godfather or something more menacing. I never, ever mean power in a negative light, ever. In fact, I would argue that real power is never negative. The Godfather, as an example, dominates and bullies, and that doesn't come in from real power. Religious people can sometimes struggle with some aspects of power as well as a phrase, especially if they're thinking of it in terms of a lack of compassion, humbleness, or a sense of community, or a need to dominate, like we just said. Spiritual and religious people may have an easier time seeing power as something that comes from a higher being. If the power comes from above, then they're fine with it being in them. But wherever your power comes from is fine with me, as long as you do not feel it needs to be condemned. And that is an issue that can be resolved if we have the right meaning for the word power. Now, of course, it's hard to say what words mean for everyone. But that's why I want to establish what power is to me if I'm going to be invoking it all the time. And the key to my definition comes in recognizing that being powerful does not lead to anything bad whatsoever. It does not take anything away from someone else. It does not diminish your ability to be all the good things that you are. In fact, it enhances them. True power doesn't make you lose your way from the central identity. It helps you live that central identity. I tell people all the time that you do not have to change who you are at all to get better from mind-body issues. You have to be who you are. Power allows you to do that more and more accurately, broadly, and specifically, and achieves big steps forward in high-stakes areas of your life. The linchpin to being comfortable with power, as I see it, is that wherever it is from which you believe we derive power, power is not bad. All of those words that involve so-called power that are negative aren't actually power. Power feels good to everyone, even the people who don't have it. Think about when you see a concert, for example. That performer has a huge amount of power. Paul McCartney, who's my favorite musician and probably favorite person who I don't know personally, he's my favorite example of this. He's the master of the crowd for so many reasons. But does anyone feel dominated? Nope. Hurt by his power? Nope. We love his power. It's relaxing to us. It invites us into the idea that we have some power too. This is the key to it all. When it comes to power, there is actually an infinite supply. You aren't taking away from anyone in growing powerful or feeling like you are a personal genius of some kind. We all can be powerful at the same time. This is the beauty of it and the safety of it. Your power does not diminish anyone else's ability to be powerful. If anything, you being powerful invites others to do the same. Real power gives confidence, support, love, and admiration to everyone else too. And this is not only why it is so important in our community, but it is also why you can feel without any worry that you're doing something bad in becoming more powerful. You might upset some people who are being aggressive or trying to dominate or humiliate you, but that's actually good. In the meantime, the people who are striving to be good and happier will be able to see you as an example, and you could empower them. See power as something that only has upside. Anything supposedly dangerous about power isn't really power. Goodism and power are not antithetical. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. But as I see it, no one has discovered peanut butter and jelly in this case. You're going to love it, and so will the world. The only ones who won't love it are just people who haven't discovered that power exists yet. And when they do, they could join the rest of us and help make the world a better place. Because that's the thing. Power is not like food or money. There is an infinite supply of power available in the world. If you have some, it doesn't mean others have less. Find out where you can be powerful in ways that will make you happy and go ahead and take it. You're not hurting anyone. And in fact, you're going to help countless other people by showing them that they can do the same. Take whatever you want in the power department because if it's being done right, it doesn't hurt anyone else and makes the world a better place. Most of all, it makes your world a better place at no cost to anyone else. I really hope you enjoyed this episode on the infinite supply of power and why it is my chosen word for this ever-important column. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and hit like if you like what you're hearing. Put your comments below and we'll get back to you personally.